everyone. How are you guys? I'm going to try to go live today. I hope this works. It's been a crazy few days on YouTube and it's been pretty hard to get anything going. I didn't really promote this video, so I don't know if anyone is going to get their notifications. I just wanted to see if this would work. Now, earlier this morning, I was playing around. I was actually just on my Facebook page. Facebook actually has an opportunity to do live, and I was trying the Facebook Live option, which had a lot of people like, what are you doing? I was just getting my makeup on, and people were like, why are you putting your makeup on Facebook? And I'm just like, I'm just trying this to see which platforms are here and which ones aren't. But I was like, okay, during the Facebook Live, a bunch of my Facebook followers were starting to talk about Tiger King. And I realized that I haven't really done anything on this show yet. And I was like, okay, let's talk about this. I really haven't had a chance yet to talk about it on this channel. And I was like getting my makeup put on and I was like, all right, let's just talk about this. So let me just give me 1 second before I do anything here. I'm just so excited that this is working. I haven't had a live stream work all week. I'm hoping this continues. I have to notify some more people. Okay. So welcome. I'm going to be trying different platforms here. I've been having some trouble on YouTube getting everything out. And so earlier I did try live streaming on Facebook, which is a little bit different experience. I will say that I enjoy being on, why is this, my whole system is freezing right now. Okay, I enjoy being on YouTube better. The chats are easier to manage and all of that. But if you haven't followed me on Facebook and you want to see, I'm going to try to get, I have this like larger platform on Facebook. I think there's like 21,000 people that follow that page. And there's a live streaming option, and I just figured I could do more casual stuff there. The format is easier for me because I can use the same software and I have a larger audience there than I do on Instagram. So I thought I would try that out. But on Facebook, like I said, they were talking about Tiger King and I was like, let's talk about it. Okay. So Netflix has this show out, right? Tiger King, where it's like following the tale of these exotic roadside zoos, primarily in the south of the United States. Exotic Joe, who's the main focus of this documentary. It's supposed to be a documentary, but I'm not gonna lie, it felt very sensationalized to me. The production people that made the show, they said that they went into this wanting to sort of do something about similar to what they did with SeaWorld with Blackfish to end sort of the captivity of orcas. Is this going to get pulled? Oh, no. Okay. To end the captivity of orcas, and very similarly, they are, let me see here. If I can get, it says it not maintaining enough. Okay, so I was trying to figure out, like, how do I feel about this? What's going on with this? I don't really know about this. And it was trying to be like this show where they were talking about different, animals in the exotic animals, right? So he said that he started and he was like looking at someone picking up, like, I think he said like a snake. And then he said that there was like this leopard in, like a snow leopard in like a hot car, and that like concerned him because, why would there be a snow leopard in a hot car in like Florida? So that sort of spiraled them into this like massive like show, right, about so many different things. With Exotic Joe, who has this roadside zoo in in Oklahoma. And his main thing is like this interactive experience where people can pet tiger cubs, but he also had like bears and lions and all these other like chimps and birds. I think at one point in the show, he said that he had over 200 wild cats, which if you watch Tiger King and you see how small this property is and how the cats are like all in these very small cages, it's like kind of like if you're an animal lover, it's going to make your skin crawl. It's going to make you feel like, why, what? Like, I can't figure out whether or not the show is trying to be like the sensationalized version of these are like the crazy characters in this exotic zoo world, or it's trying to be an advocacy. And I think it started out one way and it got completely derailed, and it ended up focusing on Joe, who is over the top and was in this fight with Carol Baskin, who runs this animal sanctuary. And then you've got this other guy named Doc Antle, who has another zoo in South Carolina. So you've got Doc Antle, who's got like this safari type zoo in South Carolina. You've got Carol Baskin, who has an animal rescue or something sanctuary, which, by the way, I don't know why you wouldn't. Animals, putting these like exotic animals in cages just seems so awful. Like, I don't understand why the money, the time, and the resources aren't put into working on putting these animals back in the wild. Now, Carol has a lot of excuses on her website for why she keeps these animals there, but to be honest, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think if she spent the time, money, and resources to do that, she would probably like be a lot more successful here. But again, I don't know. I'm just trying to see here if I can get, okay. But she has all these reasons why she can't put them back and how they haven't learned the skills and blah, 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 blah. And so I need to keep them in these cages. And she's got these, like, all this property. And so it ends up being this, like, weird situation where Joe is going after Carol because Joe says that Carol, whose husband from the very early 2000s or late 1990s, like, disappears. So Carol's married to this guy who she's much younger than him when they get married, and he is into these exotic animals. And during the time of their marriage, he runs not a sanctuary, but like a exotic zoo, much like what Joe does. And at some point in time, their marriage goes south. His family members say that he is talking about how he wants to leave her. She's like trying to get like money and stuff set up in his things. She says that he takes off and he goes to like Costa Rica and he's like never seen again by anyone. His family isn't adamant that Carol has something to do with him. She ends up getting him officially declared like deceased like 5 years later, and she ends up like acquiring all of his properties and income and everything. And everyone says that, close to her husband, says that she had like millions of reasons to do this because of all the money, the resources, and everything that this guy had, and she was much younger than him and all of it. And, you know, I'm sitting there trying to understand, like, okay, so she's got this missing husband, but now she's trying to pretend like she's taking care of these animals that are in a sanctuary, which, by the way, the sanctuary, if you go online, is not that big. That they get a 2-week break, like a 2-week excursion where they get to go to a 2-acre property and spend time for 2 weeks a year. So these humongous cats that are hundreds and hundreds of pounds, that on an average life would be roaming like 400 square miles, get twice a year to go on to 2 acres. And there's no attempts to try to reintegrate them or put them back into the wild or bring them to their native areas. They're not from Florida. They're not native to the United States. All of it just seems like kitschy, weird. And by the way, she's running this sanctuary and apparently has like all this money, making millions of dollars, and has people volunteering so much for free that she doesn't even know who the people are. And that's the one overriding theme of all of this, is that they all have all these people that are working 12, 16-hour days, and they're not being paid, but the people that are running this are like multimillionaires. So Joe's roadside show, his thing is about having tigers like that you can go in and pet. And I'm like, that's weird. Please don't pet a tiger. Don't go to any of these places where you can pet these like really large animals. They're wild. Like they shouldn't be domesticated, period. It confuses the species. And at Joe's place, he's just breeding and breeding and breeding and breeding, which is apparently illegal. You're not supposed to breed them. And then he's trading them and selling them. So he's selling the cubs for like $5,000 to other exotic people, zoos around the country. And it's this massive trade. And it's illegal to sell these cubs. And he pulls the cubs away from the mothers, depriving them of bonding with their mothers, depriving them of their mother's milk, and feeding them instead like a fortified formula, which is again not natural, and making them sleep in like pack and plays away from their mother, depriving them of the important socialization and skills that the mothers are supposed to teach their cubs. Because in the wild, the cubs would stay with their mothers for like up to a year or more, as the mother teaches them hunting and all of these different skills. So he's pulling the cubs away. The cubs then become like socially inept, not knowing how to hunt, not getting the adequate nutrition that they do. And then on Joe's property, he ends up breeding so many of them. He has over 200 of these cats. And it turns into this like sideshow of Joe and Carol bickering back and forth because Joe says that Carol's husband is gone because she did something to him, and Carol says that what Joe's doing is wrong because he's breeding these cats, and she wants to end this exotic trade and end exotic cats in captivity, yet she keeps cats in captivity and justifies it by saying, well, I wouldn't have to if they just stopped breeding, but then she would have no income, nothing. She wouldn't have a sanctuary if these places didn't exist. So it's a whole bunch of hypocrites. Not to mention, there's this elusive thing like, did she do this to her husband? And it looks like she probably might have, even though she swears she didn't. Police now in Florida have said they have completely reopened this and they're looking for tips. And she's never been like removed as a suspect. So you've got Carol there, you've got Joe there, and he's making threats to her, and he's offering to get people like, you know, rewards, and you know, but the gross thing is the breeding of these animals. They're torn away from their family member, their moms, and then they're fed terribly. Like, he gets donated food, expired food from Walmart, so they're eating like bologna, and they're eating like hot dogs and lunch meat and just food that a tiger in the wild would like never eat. Pizzas and then he opens a pizza shop on his property, and he uses the expired meat that he gets from Walmart to make the pizzas to sell to patrons. It's gross. So this whole show focuses on this like rivalry between these two and this massive like conspiracy that apparently develops of Joe trying to hire someone to end Carol's life, and it misses the mark by not even really getting into the fact of what these animals are eating, how they're missing out on, you know, real like how the babies are being pulled away, how some of them are being euthanized. There's no real discussion about the captivity aspect. It ends up being this like sensational sideshow. And now you have people on social media like buying into this fact that we should feel sorry for Joe because he got set up for what happened to Carol. Who cares if he got set up? This guy was feeding animals expired meat. He was illegally breeding them, illegally selling them, and illegally killing them. He was a criminal through and through. He should be in jail. In fact, all of these people should be in jail for what they're doing to these animals. All of them. I mean, none of them are better. They're all using volunteers. They're all exploiting these animals. They're all doing these really like dangerous meet and greets where babies can be near like a wild tiger. Like the safety factor, plus the sanitary factor, plus the fact that these tigers don't even look healthy. I just feel like this whole show is like in a bunch of absolute scumbags. I saw that I just saw that in the chat. And And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why are people on social media, like, cheering on Team Joe and saying, Joe is set up. I can't believe Joe is set up. You guys, Joe was set up. And it's like, no, he's a criminal. And then people are like, Carol's such an amazing person. No, she might have actually done something to her husband. Not to mention, she's keeping tigers in wild captivity under the ruse that she cares about them, doing nothing to actually support their natural habitats or restore or reform or like doing anything to actually get them back into the world. Someone actually told me this, and I don't know if this is true, but I got a message from someone who said that they are from Florida and they actually brought some like, or if it was either Doc or Carol's place, one of their friends found wild animals, and these places are supposed to spend like a certain amount of money like doing like rehabilitation and getting animals back into the wild. And apparently wherever they brought these ducks, they ended up just like feeding them to the tigers. So it's all just a mess. And then you've got Cardi B trying to set up a GoFundMe for Joe because she thinks that he was set up, which, by the way, who cares? He was doing illegal things, and he was literally on YouTube on a daily basis talking about the things he wanted to do to her. You don't just get a conviction by the feds with nothing. You just don't. And we didn't hear the whole story. And now he's suing people for like $78 million, saying that he's being illegally like held. Like, come on. And then you've got Jeff Lewis, who's the guy that bought out Joe's property. And he seems like a scumbag too. I mean, he's involved in this like the setup on Carol, and he is still not in jail. You've got the people that were working for Joe that were involved in this that still haven't been arrested. You've got Doc Antle like purchasing these cubs from Joe, and he's not arrested because, by the way, it's illegal. And Joe saying that Doc takes the cubs, and when they're done, past the point where they can safely interact with humans, he euthanizes them. Like this, the show in general. Oh, Jeff Lowe. I'm sorry. Jeff Lowe. See, I'm on a tangent. Jeff Lowe, not Jeff Lewis. Jeff Lewis is from Flippin' Out, I think. No, Jeff Lowe. Sorry. Jeff Lowe, he's like trying to, he did in some sort of way maybe set up Joe, but he's equally as terrible. He's stealing money from people. He gets that one guy from up north to come help him set up a new place and then kicks him out after he gets the millions of dollars he needs to get the property under like all set up, and he's like, we can't be partners. It's very clear that Joe is this like or not Joe, but Jeff is a very like crafty con man. I don't know. And Carol's profiting off of this, like all of this. She's making millions of dollars off of these sanctuaries, and her job wouldn't exist if she didn't have these. And she was in the wildcat industry. Did you know that there's videos now and photos surfacing of Carol sitting with Britney Spears at the VMAs? Remember when she had that tiger go out with her? Or like during her, not tiger, like with the snakes and stuff? Doc Antle was with her on one of her tours where she went out with a tiger. Like, celebrities are using these animals as props. And the sick and twisted part about this is this like overarching like egomania of like people thinking that because they have an exotic animal, they suddenly have status and like prestige and like, look at me. Look, I have the coveted tiger. Like you're not coveted and you're not cool if you own a tiger. You're actually like you're contributing to animal abuse. Let's just be honest. Tigers are not pets. Tigers should not be used as props. None of these animals should. This is why I hate zoos in general. Even zoos drive me nuts. Cassani says, I'm team, they're both bat poop crazy criminals and need to be locked up. I agree. Yeah, I don't think people showed how horrible Joe was. I don't think they showed how horrible Carol was. I think Joe, the reason Joe is away for 22 years is because they had a really big case. This guy is not a good person. He didn't treat these animals well. I mean, the behind the scenes footage, like if you guys want, you can see behind the scene footage. Like I actually found out more about Joe by going on to the onto YouTube channels. Like the Humane Society did secret surveillance video footage at his zoo, and you actually see how these animals are treated when they're not on camera for the show. They actually show like how the staff is interacting with the animals, how they're taught to interact with them, and it's not okay. Like these animals are not being treated well, and that's the part that wasn't a part of that documentary. And so I'm not sure, like I found stuff through the Humane Society, which is like the one of the largest rescue organizations in the United States. Have been trying to expose Joe and all these other characters for the way that they treat these animals. Netflix has this amazing opportunity, and instead they turn it into this salacious back and forth between these two people when it could have just been, I'm sure it wouldn't have gotten the same amount of headlines if they would have just stuck to the original preference, but Blackfish was humongous. That video, that documentary, Blackfish, made millions and millions of dollars, and it actually impacted and influenced SeaWorld to stop breeding orcas in captivity. And for the most part, these wild orca shows are shut down. So it could have been something like Blackfish, where it really makes an impact and shows the seedy underbelly without sensationalizing these characters and giving them platforms now where people think that we should be sympathetic to them. I'm team no one. I'm team none of them. That's my opinion. So if you watched the show, if you are into these kinds of things, let me know. But I would encourage you to look on YouTube and watch some of the videos about Exotic Joe and some of these other characters and see how these animals are really treated, and see how malnourished they are, what they do when they pull these cubs away from their moms, just the horrendous lives that these tigers are living, and how many we have and how we can't do anything with them. And why it's to be honest, they should just be euthanized. I mean, because the way that they're living is no way to live. It's sad. The Blackfish documentary was amazing, and I really think that this could have been something amazing, and it just completely missed the mark because it's Netflix. And I you'll watch it, you'll watch all 7 episodes of this docuseries, and you'll be addicted because it's so chaotic, and you'll be watching it going, why am I watching this? And then you'll just keep watching it because it's bingey, because that's what you do on Netflix, is you binge watch, and we all have so much time to binge watch right now. Seriously. Okay. But then by the end of it, you'll just be like, I feel empty. I feel dirty. Why did I watch that? I feel guilty. What did I just watch? That's how I felt at the end. What did I just watch? Why should I feel any sympathy for any of these people? Yeah, I'm team let these animals alone, exactly. It is a train wreck, and it's hard to look away. Absolutely. So leave me your comments and tell me what your thoughts are. I am so glad this live stream actually worked. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm probably going to end up following the cast of hooligans from this show because it's ridiculous, and these people need to be exposed for who they are. So I'll continue to follow their stories and share what's happening in the now. But this was sort of my introduction I'm literally team no one. I don't think we should be really honoring any of these people and being like, Carol's amazing, or Joe's amazing, or Jeff's the awesome one. Like, none of them are good. None. These are all shady people making millions of dollars on cats that should not be in captivity. All right, you guys, I am so glad this live stream worked. It was so good to see you guys. I will be back later with more. I will be checking in a little bit, and make sure if you haven't followed me on Facebook, I'll be doing more Facebook streams because I'm trying to get that platform monetized. I have this large platform, but I need to get it monetized, so I need viewing time over there. So I will go ahead and put that all over on Facebook too, but I'll be back in a little while with more. Okay? Bye.